I'm Roach, Big Roach, Pueblos, Eastside Mid City Gangsters, original YGs. Established 1986 from Chicago. Really, I ended up in the Pueblos, kind of crazy. I came to the Pueblos the first time in my life in 1984. My grandmother had a voucher when we first moved to California. And for some reason, it was gloomy that day. We went through the projects, and the first place we went was the Alba Center. I can remember it's like yesterday. And a guy leaned, she said, could you tell me where the office is? And when the person leaned over to the car, they smelled like Sherman, like water. And the first thing she said is no, and drove straight out of there. And I never seen it. I happened to move to San Bernardino, and it's a crazy story. I was walking around, I was meeting people, and I wound up walking with two dudes from Compton. They were from Compton Crips. And at the time, I wasn't aware of how the gang situation was out here. I was aware of gangs because I come from the Blackstones, in Chicago. Vice Lords, I've been around all that my whole life. I'm walking with them, and some dudes on the porch actually got at them like real crazy, like, "Hey, where y'all from?" Like we used to call it, hit them up. And me personally, I never been scared nothing in my life. I turned around, I'm like, "Man, what was he talking to?" He said, "Man, I don't worry about it." I said, "No, let's go see what they're talking about." And as I'm walking, I get to so far, and I turn around, and these two guys are going the opposite way. Now, I'm walking. This is a hostile environment right now. This is me and my two first partners from the Pueblos. This is how we met. I walked up to the porch, and he said, "Where you from?" I said, "I'm from Black Peastone. Where you from?" "And we from Pueblo." He said, "You from the jungles?" I didn't have no idea what they was talking about. But that's how we met. And from that point, that minute, we actually laughed with each other and hugged, and I became friends. This is 1986.
So when you said Black Peastone, you were talking about
Chicago,
yeah.
Absolutely.
And how old were you at that time?
13.
So who were those two people that you ran into?
Well, the first two people on the porch that hit us up, man, I'm the only one to walk back, was Aki, my homeboy Rat, and my homeboy / my brother Quelo, Cubone.
And that was basically your introduction to the Pueblos.
Absolutely.
And so you didn't actually live in the projects?
Not at that time. This is 1986. I moved from LA. I was living on the west side by the Cimarron and Adams over by the 20s, in the 20s. And we wound up getting up out of there because it was rocking and rolling during that time. My grandmother was like, no, San Bernardino, places like that was like a refuge. So I wound up going out there. And lo and behold, they moved out there at the same time. So we both 2 days of peace fresh in San Bernardino, and that's when we met.
So I guess eventually you end up going with them to the hood.
The thing is, it was so much jumping off, man, and they was like, "Man, we gonna take you." I was like, "I'm ready." It's nothing. It was nothing to me. It was not it was nothing forced upon me. It was natural with me. I came in with it. So, and I was eager to get there. When I got there, I promise you, it was like family then. It was like family. I can go to any house in the projects once I establish myself and go to sleep and be comfortable. You had players that was straight killers. You had gangsters that was straight killers. Then you had the Bloods that was straight killers. So we all represent Pueblos.
So those different sections were separated by age, right? Like the players were the older ones.
Age. Well, I can't even say it because there was some young cats that was associated with the older cats. It was just by your finesse, your style. Some acquired all three.
Now, when you mentioned earlier Mid City Gangsters, that didn't come into play yet when you first got there.
When I came into play, that was already into play.
Okay.
I'm a second generation of all of my big homies with Sharky, Dr. Dirt, Too Hard, JC, Tucci, Poochie. Man, it's like, man, there's so many names. It's monumental names over there, and it was like, it was really a city full of generals and captains. It was a city full of them. You could not be no cadet there. There's no rooms for that.
And how did that whole thing get started in terms of the Mid City Gangsters?
Well, that would be before me, but I was told, which I do have a little knowledge of what I was told with the homies I hung with. That was homie Sharky started that. Big George, Caveman. Oh, that had to be in the '70s with Sharky and them, man. That's another person you might want to talk to also. I've been shot 6 times. It was rocking and rolling. Everybody I know, probably 70% of the people I know have been shot.
And 6 times at once?
No, different occasions.
Okay.
Different occasions. I've been hit multiple times. All total 6.
And when the bullet first enters you, do you have like flashes of like, dang, I might die?
Honestly, I didn't have time. I can't even sit here and tell you I thought about that. My thing was, it's all about the Most High with me. I can only attest to just giving him the glory. I don't know what I did, how I survived. You know, so many people I've known that had less is not here.
Who were the main neighborhoods that were around there that you guys got into it with?
I would say 5 Nines, 4 Trays, Avalons, and shit. Anybody who wanted it.
Have you reconciled any relationships with some of these dudes that are from those neighborhoods?
I've run into several people, man, and everybody in my age and my age group, man, pretty much that's alive and doing well is on the same thought pattern. You know, what we got to prove. You know, I wish I could tell some of the youngsters out here, man, that, you know, if you're gonna do this, man, have a purpose, but there is no purpose. But I'm gonna show it by my actions. I'm gonna raise my kids. My son's born and raised in the Pueblos. Neither one of them on them streets.
Now, in the 80s, there was more blood unity.
Oh man, come on! I got homies from everywhere. Big homies from every set.
But your neighborhood was so close with the villains.
Man, our villains is a family.
Yeah, it's almost like the same set. You know, Pueblos villains.
It's guys over there in the villains, man, that's considered from their own homies as more Pueblos than they are villains, and vice versa for some of my people. You know, it's unfortunate, man. You know, some things happen, but I leave that to what's going on. You know, I don't want to speak on that.
Would you say that happened with a generation after you, or with people from your generation part of that too?
I mean, all my generation.
Okay.
My generation.
How do you personally feel about it?
I personally feel like, man, if we can forgive people who put us in chains, we can forgive our people who next door to us.
But in the last several years, it's kind of quieted down a little bit, right?
I mean, me personally, I don't really be in the neighborhood. I be traveling everywhere, but I do keep in contact with everybody. But my thing is, I think it's working itself out. I think it's working out.
Now, for a lot of outsiders that have seen this relationship between the Pueblos and villains that was so close, a lot of people were just devastated that it went there.
Myself was devastated. Several people was devastated. Several hundreds of people was devastated. But, you know, we have a sworn duty to do what we got to stay where we, you know, stand out for what we do, stand out for your crimes, we used to say. But I don't know, man. It's a kind of it's a hard thing to think about for me right now, you know.
Then you went to high school.
Yeah, I went to high school. I was in the Pueblos then. I was attempting to go to high school.
What school were you attempting to go to?
Fremont.
Okay.
I went to Fremont. Man, us and the Swans was close back then. I mean, super close.
Now that was a school where if you was a Crip, there was no way you were gonna go there.
At first it wasn't, but then Swans they did during the '80s they did a transformation out of this world over in that area.
How so?
I mean, just far as them taking over so much area. I mean, area that was untouched by blood, but they did their thing.
So how long you stay at Fremont?
Probably a week. I'm gonna be honest with you, a week. It was nothing more than that. I was on the streets by myself, man, at age 13, 14. When my grandmother came out here, I lost my grandfather in the county jail out here because he didn't have an identification on him. He wound up dying in the county jail. So my grandmother wound up leaving. I came back on my own. I flew back. Back then, you can get on the plane. You know, you can just get on the plane. The people don't even understand that back then. A juvenile can just walk on a plane and just get and fly anywhere they wanted to, and wouldn't get questioned. And I did that.
Okay, so you initially came out here with your grandmother.
Mm-hmm. And my uncle.
And she left.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, you don't have any other blood family out
That
here.
was it. I had nothing.
So when you was going through situations like when you got shot, you know.
My family was the really people who really loved me because I looked out for them. They really looked out for me. You know, I got some, shout out to the Wisner family. You know, Laverne, She was like my mother. You know, all the elders over there was like the other ladies. It was like my mother. They all loved me. Like I said, I can go from the east side of the projects to the west side of the projects. I can go to any house. I had keys. I can go to sleep. They loved me. They respected me because I respected them.
Now, I remember when they put the train, the Long Beach line. I think that was 1990. Mm-hmm. So you touched down there before that train.
I saw the train. I seen the train being built. Yeah.
What was there before?
Dirt.
Was it just tracks or?
It was just tracks and yeah, they built the. It's kind of like, damn man. Just thinking about that, wasn't even no gates then. I'm like, man, that just make me think about all this shit. Wasn't even no gate. I mean, it's like, man, straight across. Yeah, it was nothing but dirt. It was nothing but dirt.
And when that train came in, did it change anything in the neighborhood?
Well, it changed the way that people. Of course, how the economy works. You know that, and it changed how many people have to come through the neighborhood who's catching the trains locally, either at Vernon or Slauson. But it also changed the factor of that bringing the sheriffs over to our neighborhood because we never had the sheriffs. You know, and that back in the 80s and the 90s, they was, you know.
So now you got to deal with not only the LAPD,
yeah,
the sheriff also.
Yeah.
You leave Fremont, and where was the next high school you go to?
Pueblos. Straight up, period.
But you said you graduated.
Yeah, I was in camp. I was in camp when I graduated. I was in camp. I was in Rocky.
So you got arrested and got sent to Camp Rocky.
Yeah.
Was that your first main offense? Where you had to do time?
Yeah, that's my first time.
Can you talk a little bit about what happened?
Actually, I had a manslaughter. I took the deal for a manslaughter. Yeah.
How old were you?
17.
Okay, so you got a good deal for considering what they do today, huh?
It wasn't no good deal at all, was it? I mean, opposed to you called me a 6 foot pound black male, 6 foot 200 pound black male. That's who I was back then.
So how long did you have to go to Camp Rocky for?
I did like 19 months. Yeah.
For manslaughter?
Man, it was a juvenile case.
Well, they don't give those no more.
I didn't have to go. Nah, not no more. Not no more. It was just it was a voluntary manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter, and voluntary, involuntary, and something else.
Maybe second degree?
I don't know, but it was the lowest term, but I jumped on it. They knew it wasn't me, but they just gave me time anyway.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Thanks for watching StreetGangs.com. Please like and share the video you just watched and leave a comment below to tell us what you think. You can also watch 2 of our previous episodes to the right. Please visit the link to our Patreon page and support our campaign. And don't forget to subscribe.